All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the Royal We Live. This is Kevin. We got started a little bit later than I'd like to due to some technical stuff that I was working out. But tonight we're going to be talking about identity theft. I made a video talking about identity theft and how abusive narcissists, whether it's family or friends or even a significant other, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or even a spouse, can start to take on your characteristics and your identity. We often see this in mirroring in the beginning of the relationship. There's a love bombing phase, which includes mirroring. The identity theft part of it is when they kind of take over your, well, not kind of, but they do take over your likeness and get rid of you. So they steal the best parts of you and put on that show for everybody else while they demean and devalue you and put all of their negativity onto you. That is what we are going to be talking about in this episode. So before we get started in that, guys, I want to go ahead and say hi to everybody coming on in. How are you guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's probably going to be a shorter show tonight, but we are going to take some phone calls because it was a little bit late. So hi there. Hey, Dragonfly, how are you doing? How's it going? Live life happy. Good evening. Susan Moonday, how are you? John, how are you? Rabbit, how is everybody? Hope you guys are doing great. Tomorrow's Friday. That's always good news. And looking forward to that. I don't see any of the moderators in here yet, but hopefully they will. They will show up here pretty soon. And we're going to go ahead and get started, guys. We're going to be talking about, like I said, we're going to be talking about the identity theft of abusive narcissists, or which starts off as the mirroring of abusive narcissists, but then turns into the identity theft. And so, which can be really bad because this is when they start to take on your characteristics and they devalue you and discard you. So, guys, when we're talking about identity theft, right? This is something that is very it can be very hurtful and very damaging, especially in a like a family dynamic, or in my experience, with in-laws, or it could even be with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a spouse. It could be with any type of, or coworkers, right? It could be any kind of a situation where you step into this relationship, and initially you bring something new to the relationship. And during the love bombing phase with whoever you're dealing with, they start to mirror you and they take on your characteristics. And I know that a lot of you guys have often heard that it's said that who you fall in love with when you fall in love with the abusive narcissist is you fall in love with yourself, because what they're doing is mirroring back the best qualities of you, right? They're letting you know how cool it is to hang out with you, and they're really just they're real like, yeah, and you're so cool and this and that, and they say all this good stuff about you, and they constantly want to know about you, and they're just absorbing who you are, right? And it feels good. It catches you off guard. You're like, wow, this person's really into me. And they're absorbing everything. You might even catch them using some of the phrases that you say. And you don't think anything of it, right? It kind of seems flattering a little bit. Wow, they're using some of the comments that I've said. And it's not uncommon that we, throughout our life, at different phases of our life, we do like to kind of take on characteristics of people who we look up to, right? As a matter of fact, that's you become successful a lot of times by oftentimes mimicking people who have gone before you. You have certain people that you look up to. There's certain people who have blazed a trail, and this is okay. That's not what I'm talking about, right? But what I'm talking about is when you start to shift and change your whole identity and you do a 180. You go from this person who is crazy, in a lot of trouble, which most abusive narcissists are. They've gotten their lives into a lot of trouble. They're down and they're out. They meet you, you come along, and you lift them up because you're an empath. But then in the relationship, they decide that they're going to start to be who you are. This is when they steal your identity. They've mirrored you long enough to start to know the things that you are and how people react to you. So, for example, in my experience, and this is common, and maybe you've had experience like this too, being an empath or being a believer or going to church and being a Christian, it's typical that you went into these situations and you'd want to pray for people, or you'd want to just talk to people and say, hey, let's chat. How you doing? And that was your thing, just making sure people are okay. How are you? And it's just an empathic thing to do. And you want to make sure that people are okay. An abusive narcissist, at first, they will, they'll like that about you. But at some point, they shift and they turn and they start to demean and devalue you. And when you start to say things like, hey, let's talk, is there something wrong? Let's talk, they'll demean and devalue you even further. There's nothing to talk about. What are you talking about? And they'll flip it on you. What are you talking about? You're acting very weird. You're acting strange. And then you'll be like, hey, I'm just, calm down. I just want to talk. And then they'll start to accuse you. You think you're better than everybody, this and that. So this is the devaluation phase. Now, we all know all the stuff that they do when they devalue you and demean you. But what they do simultaneously is they turn around to other people while they're demeaning and devaluing you and telling you that you're wrong and your efforts to love them are wrong. Your efforts to love everybody are wrong. They're basically treating you like you're some kind of a liar. But really what they're doing is setting up the path for them to take over who you are in the relationship with other people. You see, what they saw about you is that you came in, you brought something, and people gravitated towards that in you. And people do gravitate towards empaths. They just do. So you could walk into the room and it lights up. And people gravitate towards that. The abusive narcissist in the room, whether it happened to be, unfortunately, your boyfriend or your girlfriend or a family member, they saw that, they were jealous of that, and they wanted that. So simultaneously, while demeaning you, they've learned enough about you to start being you to them. Do you follow that? So they started going behind your back saying, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you guys. Not to you. They're demeaning you. They hate you. They want you out of the picture. I want to remind you, narcissists want you out of the picture because to them there's not enough room for them and for you. They're going to be you. They're going to crawl. It's like they're crawling inside of your skin. They're taking your skin off and wrapping themselves in it, and now they're going to go and pretend to be you. They're going to go and find people who are hurting. Oh, do you want to talk? Yeah, I understand. And they're going to pretend to listen. They're going to be a flimsy, ridiculous version of you. It's sad. And it really is. And nothing sickened me. Nothing broke my heart more in the situation I dealt with the abusive narcissist, but to see this, to see a cruel and rude person who would demean and devalue me turn around and go to other people and, can I pray for you? I'll pray for you. I love, let's talk. Let's talk, which is what this person would do with other family members in the environment, which was something that when I went into the family, that's what I was doing. I wanted to be there for people. And so it becomes very annoying. It's very hard. And you're like, wow. And you almost wonder, are people taking it seriously? But it seems like they do. And so they learned that they kind of crawl into your skin, take your identity, and it could be heartbreaking. And meanwhile, like I said, they're telling you that you're not that person. So it's literally destroying and stealing your identity and swapping it. They're forcing you to be the them that they were, the them that everybody looked down on because people did not agree with their lifestyle, did not like them, and they now want you to be that. So they're forcing that on you, saying you're judgmental, you're selfish, you're ignorant, you're mean. No, you know what I mean? They're giving you all of that. They're saying, you take who I was. And they're saying, and I'm going to take who you were. And now I'm you. And now you're the hated one. You're the scapegoat. I'm the one that loves everybody, and everybody loves me because that's what I saw in you when you came into the relationship. This is how narcissists operate. This is exactly what they do. This is why they want you in their life, to learn to steal your identity because they don't have any. And listen, guys, don't worry about it because they're going to lose it and move on to somebody else's identity. Nobody can crawl into your skin and use your skin and be an authentic you. It's never going to happen. They can fake it for only so long, but they're always looking for another person to imitate and to become. Because they're not grounded. They don't have their own identity. They're like leaves in the wind. They just blow around. But it can still be very difficult, guys. And so what do you do about it? Well, in all honesty, guys, it's best just to continue being yourself, but you've got to move on and get out of the situation. Don't go to the same circle of friends as these people. If it's a family, get away from that family. It's not your family. If literally, if a family of people is going to, it doesn't, even if it's your own family, if they're going to side with this fake version of who you really are through another person, and they're not going to give you the time of day, then they don't deserve. Let them have the fake version of you, and let them enjoy it. Let them love it. You, on the other hand, move on and go bring your authentic self to other people who are really going to love and appreciate you. And don't worry about that. All right, guys. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about as far as doing the stolen identity. And I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. If you have come across this, if you've had people who have tried to take your identity from you and have even accomplished that, and have demeaned you and devalued you, while also starting to take on your characteristics in a very and how did it make you? What'd you do about it? How did you resolve that issue? So I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about that. I'm going to go ahead and put the telephone number back up. You guys are welcome to call, and the telephone line is open. We've got time to take a few calls. So go ahead and call on in, guys. And I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that. And I did make a video. Like I said, I'll go ahead and put a link to the video down below in the description box of this live feed so that you can watch that, the initial video that I made about the identity theft. And it was called Identity Theft. And while you guys are waiting to call, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to the moderators. And I'm not sure if they're in tonight, but the moderators who have been here throughout the days and have been helping everybody. Blue, we do have a call from Maryland. One moment, caller from Maryland. I'll be right with you. Blue, thank you so much for everything that you have done. Blue has been a huge support for everybody and welcoming people and just being a fantastic moderator and doing so much for everybody. She has a heart for the people here. Taylor Zabel, thank you as well for being here and for everything that you do. And also, moderator D. Dahl, thank you for everything that you have done as well, and just for being here and helping to lead and guide everybody. Really, really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And we'll go ahead and take the call from Maryland. You're live on the Royal We. How are you?
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for taking my call. This is actually my second time calling in, and I love your program when I can stay up long enough to watch it. If not, I'll watch the replay in the morning, but I always catch it.
Well, thank you.
But, yeah, what prompted me to call was your topic tonight. I usually like to just hang out in the chat or, listen to the other callers.
Mm-hmm.
I know we all have so much to share, but just listening to your topic tonight, it reminded me of so many experiences I had as a child being raised by a narcissistic single mom.
Mm-hmm.
And but one in particular stood out, and I remember my mother telling me that, family members, they do things for family members. And she didn't really say this, but it was implied that it doesn't matter if it's right or it's wrong, illegal, or, this is what we do for family. And as a young child, as an empath, I used to get anxiety really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not realize that, it was my body trying to warn me that something was not right about things that I was doing. So my mom would have me do certain things, like she put, our telephone bill in her name, little things like that. I didn't really matter. It didn't affect me. But one time she actually had me take a urine test for her. And I was, I think I might have been maybe 18, 19, or 20. So I wasn't that young, but I was still, on the young side. And she had asked, I wasn't living with her. She was living by herself. And, she told me, tomorrow, can you do this? Or, we planned it ahead of time. And she said to me, I need to get, for this job. And, you obviously know why people need to take urine tests for jobs. So
right.
She knew she wasn't going to pass it.
Right.
And she had asked me to do that. So when I went to meet her at her place, I had an anxiety attack, and I didn't want her to see me going through this process. So I kind of waited for her to get prepared to go do the, test, and I found a little corner somewhere where I can kind of just run through the process. It was tremors and the crying and, holding yourself. I've since grown out of that.
Right.
Thank God, with a lot of prayer. But I just remember feeling obligated, and when you're talking about the false narratives, I felt obligated because I thought that I was told that this is what family was supposed to do.
Yeah.
For each other.
And you know what? Well, this is, and this is, I'm glad you brought this up, and I am going to make I really am, I'm going to make an organic video about family, because some of the worst narcissistic abuse takes place in the families. As a matter of fact, I would even venture to say that families, for the most part, are narcissistic hierarchies. That's what they've become.
Yeah.
that at some point, this whole idea and concept of family, what is family, right? Because I look at you guys right here, right? Well, first of all, let's go to the scriptures, right? And then I'll tell you what I view as family. But if we go to scriptures, which is an ancient theology of people, and we see Jesus in the New Testament even tell the disciples and everybody, when people came running to him saying, Jesus, your mom and your brother want to see you, his response to them was, who is my mom and who are my brothers? And he pointed to his disciples and he said, these people right here are my mother, my brothers, my sister. This is my family, right? So when I hear family, I'm married, so I obviously I have a spouse, which is my family, my number one family. And then I also have children. Now, children are my responsibility. I'm responsible to raise and to guide my children. And if I do a good job, that's what I'm supposed to do. And if my children grow up and leave and become successful and I never hear from them again, then I did my job right? This is what family, that's it. And this is what we see even throughout the Old Testament is children were raised by their parents and then they left. Even people who did great things and succeeded, they left their homes for the most part. They didn't go back. They didn't stay. Culture has turned families into gangs, basically. And people get their family name even tattooed on their belly. It's our gang. It's a narcissistic hierarchy structure is what they become. And since it's a narcissistic hierarchy structure, you then have levels within it. You have the king and queen, which is dad, mom, grandma, grandpa. Then you have the golden children or the middle class. And then you have the scapegoats, the poor people. This is the sad reality of narcissistic hierarchy structures that even exist in families. And this is why it's so important to get the heck out of that, because you want nothing to do with a hierarchy structure family. You really don't. Get out and find a real family of equality where people, where where people appreciate you, right? Where you're not taken for granted, because
exactly, yeah.
It's just terrible. And in stories like yours, that's what you heard. In this family, in this gang that we have, this is what you do, right? Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. You do this because you're part of this gang. You're part of this gang family.
Well, I mean, this was all I had, so I didn't know. My gut was telling me one thing,
right.
But I thought other families did the same thing, not on different levels. And there were countless examples. I'll just give you that. I'll just share that one with you because that's really what stood out. But to add insult to injury, and what really makes my mother a narcissist, and why I've gone as low contact as one can possibly go with somebody without saying, hey, I think you're a narcissist and I'm going no contact with you, because she doesn't get it. She'll call me and I'll just kind of 2 minutes and then that'll be it. But to add insult to injury, if I were to mention an event like this, similar to that, where
right.
I say, well, remember that time when, oh, I don't remember that.
Sure, yeah.
And,
sure, they deny it.
Absolutely. No, are you sure?
Right.
You recalling correctly? And
yeah.
So that's what, learning all about the gaslighting and everything. I'm like, wow, I'm 110% sure that what I grew up with is, a narcissist in my home.
They don't want to talk
So,
about it. Yeah, they
but
don't want
yeah,
to talk about it. They won't.
absolutely
They
not.
will they will
Absolutely
they
not.
live under a code of sweeping things under the rug. We don't want to talk about it. We don't go back that far. I mean, they'll remember stuff, but only the good stuff that they did, right? Anything that edifies them and glorifies them and makes them feel like they're the best, they remember that stuff. But if you go back and say, "Hey, do you remember when you made me do this?" Or do you remember? No. What are you talking about? I don't remember that. Nope. Yeah, pretty sad. They don't want to talk
Yeah,
about it.
well, I mean, even in that sense, I'm like, I can't really be around her more than a few minutes. She'll talk to say that I've become somewhat successful, a little bit beyond what she did, and she'll kind of take credit for it. That never really bothers me because I'm thinking, well, yeah, you did bring me into this world, but then I notice some jealousy from her, and she'll finish my sentences if I tell her a story, which I haven't told. I stopped telling her stories, but I'll say, well, such and such was about to, and she says, oh, that you think you're better than them, and no, I wasn't going to say that, but that's what
I
she.
think I'll tell you what, if I had a nickel for every time an abusive narcissist accused somebody else of thinking they're better, I'd be a wealthy man. It seems like this is a token phrase of abusive narcissists. Oh, you think you're better. You think you're better than everybody. You think you're better. You're no better.
And
They
I
they
only caught on
always say
after a
that.
few times.
Wow.
They were going to say, you think you're better than them? And I said, no, that's not how it went. And I'm like, I get the hint that you think that I think that I'm better, and it's not true.
Here's the
So,
truth of it. Here's the truth of it. Abusive narcissists, they think you're better than them. Matter of fact, and I
yeah,
mean that's just it. That's why they say that. You think you're better than everybody. No, you think I'm better than you, and that's your problem. And so that's why you
yeah,
want
I'm starting
to.
to catch it.
Yeah, that's why you want to be like me, or that's why you want to get rid of me. That's why you want to demean me and devalue me, is because I they look at you as such a threat because you are a light to expose everything that they are, and they literally tremble in that. This is why their fight, guys. This is for the whole community. You want to know why the narcissist fight is so fierce? It is a fierce fight because your light truly threatens to expose them and the way of their living and the truth. And you think their lies and stuff hurt you when they make up names about you, when they smear your name, you think that hurt? It's based on lies. That is nothing in comparison to if they're exposed by the truth, which is they are
Oh, absolutely.
they're
I know that.
cowardly. They are cowardly people who have messed up their lives, pushed relationships away. They are lowly, right? And exposing them to that, they can't handle it. They can't take it. And so you are an absolute threat because every time you're around, that's all they see is that light. They know they hurt you. They know they said things about you. They know they smeared your name, and they're hoping that it works. They're hoping that it buries you. That's why it's so fierce. Because if not, then
Oh,
they can be buried, big time. So be strong. Be strong. Still stand. The best thing you could do is just become successful and in your own way, and and that's it. Don't let it bury you. Be you.
I will do that. And I thank you for the support of this community. I can't emphasize enough how important it is for us out here to know that we're not alone.
No,
We
you're
have the
not.
support. I want to thank, while I'm on the line, thank you to the moderators. I do belong to the Facebook page, and it's just a godsend. So thank you, Kevin, for all you do.
Right on. Thank you. I'm glad you called. Thank you.
All right, bye bye.
Bye. Yes, thank you so much to the moderators. Moderators are fantastic, and I appreciate them very, 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 very much. Telephone line is back open. And again, we're talking tonight about the mirroring and the identity theft of abusive narcissists. This is when they take your characteristics, they become you, and demean you in the process so that they can take over your identity. and be like you. Pretty shady business, right? We got a call from New York. You're live on the Royal We.
Hi, Kevin. This is Tanya. Hi, everybody in the group. I
Tanya,
talked to you
it's
a while ago.
it's been a
Yes,
while. How are you? I
it's been a
know.
while. Yeah, do you remember?
I absolutely
I'm
do.
actually really, I'm nervous calling live on the air, even though I've talked to you quite a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah. So today was like actually a really, really rough day. Things haven't changed a whole bunch since we spoke last. I don't know if you remember exactly what was going on, but I live with my daughter's father, and I was in a situation where both, through his ex finding out, that she was extremely narcissistic or even possibly borderline, and I wanted to ask you this question. I was reading an article somewhere that said that borderline and narcissism have very, very similar, almost identical characteristics. Is there truth to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. I've said this to people. I say this all the time. I don't get too caught up in trying to prescribe or
Right.
people as borderline or cluster B or histrionic or this and that, because it doesn't matter. Sociopath, psychopath, because all of these all of these things are narcissistic. They all
Okay.
begin. They all are rooted in just narcissism, self-love, lack of empathy, and so all of these things that you're talking about can be very narcissistic. Now then, that being said, not all narcissists though, because everybody can have certain types of narcissistic tendencies. Others, there's people who sometimes they can come out, they're not even aware, they don't know it, they're not trying to, right? But the ones that are
Right.
in these other mental illnesses are still narcissistic, whether it's a mental illness or it's them just doing it on purpose. So I kind of put it all under the umbrella of narcissistic. So someone who, did you say they're bipolar? Is that what you said? Diagnosed as bipolar?
Borderline.
Borderline?
I
Yeah.
heard that women tend to be more borderline, or I read this, and I've heard it a couple places, that women tend to be more borderline, men tend to be more narcissistic. Um,
It's
and I
still
just didn't
it's
know how
still
true that was.
narcissistic. It's still narcissistic.
Okay.
A
So
borderline
it's still all kind of,
personality still comes across as narcissistic. It comes across as very unloving, uncaring, um,
yeah. Yeah.
selfish, self-centered. Yeah, very narcissistic.
I think what's confusing me in this situation is just the stark differences between him and her. Even though they're both very much the same, the way that it portrays or comes out is something very different. Where she's like more histrionic and more um, just drama, constant drama, and he's more the instigator and sneaky and manipulative and deceitful, and it's just, but I can see it clearly in the
Right.
both of them. Now, I don't know if you remember, but this is I'm the one that I'm in this situation. It's a step family situation. They've been back and forth to court for 4 years. They're fighting over their 6-year-old son. I'm kind of caught in the middle of it. We have a two. She's 2 years old now. Our daughter. I'm still in the house. I've been trying my damnedest to get out. Believe me, and I've
Right.
just been kind of gray rocking myself, trying my best to gray rock. When I spoke with you last, I was really struggling. I had actually gone into the hospital with the tachycardia issues and all that stuff.
Right.
That kind of went. That's kind of gone away as I've been able to really cut myself off of this or away from it, not get involved in their crap. Not listen to any of it. Keep myself as much as separated as I could from it. Then I haven't, the panic and all that stuff has kind of subsided.
Now,
However, something
were you
happened
just kind of
today,
a
and it just,
were you just kind of a spectator to their fighting, or was their fighting aimed at you?
I'm sorry, say that again. I didn't get
Were you
that.
like a spectator with these people fighting? You're talking about these people. Were they fighting each other, or are they fighting with you?
Oh, all over. So they fight each other because they're exes. So it's my daughter's father, who I'm still living with, and his ex. Those guys are so toxic. that
So
they fight constantly.
you're with your daughter's father. You're living with your daughter's father and his
Yeah,
ex. So
yeah.
he's there with two
She
girls.
doesn't live here. No, I'm sorry. She doesn't live here. I'm
Okay.
sorry. No, she doesn't live here. And actually she's married. She's married to another guy, but yet
Wow.
they still fight. They're email communication every day. I mean,
Okay.
it is not stopped. Like, it's crazy. I'm the one that they've been in court every month since I've known him. And that was his son was 2 when we met, and his son is now 6. And they've been in court literally every month. There's been about an 8-month break, and he just got another petition that he's going back to court again on the 2nd. And it's just crazy.
You should not be a part of. You should not be a part of this
I can't.
at all.
Kevin, what happened is, like, I've been okay. Like, I've been working. I'm a hairstylist. We talked about that before. I was going to school also. And I took a break with school to focus on hair, to try to save some money, to try to get out of here. And so I've been doing okay. I've been working and trying to stay busy and just staying out of it. And then, like, today, it just, he slapped down and he printed out like an 80-page court petition that just got filed over some new drama, and said that he's hiring. This is now the 5th new attorney he's going to have is coming to the house on Monday. And I don't know what happened to me today. I took like 1,000 steps backwards, and he like put this all on me right before I was walking out the door to go to work. And so it ruined my entire day. Like, even at work, I could tell, like, I was on the verge of tears all day. So
what exactly did he put on you? What did he put on you?
Just all this stuff. So I haven't, because I haven't been involved with what's going on. When I got up this morning, he had printed off, there was an 80-page court petition laying on the table.
But what does it have to do with?
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, what does it have to do with you?
Oh, God. Well, it's all the stuff that's going on between them. I'm brought up in it. It's crazy. It's crazy. So she's looking for sole legal custody. She wants sole legal and physical custody of the child, and she wants a custody evaluator to come into both homes. Like, I'm like ready to move back home, and I'm 35 years old, and I'm like that ready to just.
Yeah, well, you don't need to be. You definitely don't need to be wrapped up in any of this. It just.
How
doesn't.
do I keep myself? How do you keep yourself? So if you're in this situation, I've done a pretty good job of keeping myself away from it, and I think that's why it hit me off guard.
Well, the problem is you're in the situation, right? So. This is one of those things where it's very difficult to help you because, one of the issues with abusive narcissists is you need to be able to stay no contact. You living with this guy, that breaks that rule. That makes that absolutely impossible. So the fact that you went back and you're with him, you threw yourself back into the thick of the drama and the mess of a life that you were trying to get away from, right? And so there's nothing you can do except to start over and break away from that and go no contact. But again, it's got to be for the right reasons, hon. Your no contact has to be because you are done with the drama in your life. You want health. You want to move on. And every time you go back and you're in this relationship with this person, this is your life with that. It's all it's going to be. It will never be any better. There will always be something you're hit with in the morning. There will always be a mess of something that you're going to come home to. There will always be stress and anxiety. There will always be tachycardia and POTS syndrome and anxiety and panic attacks because this is the life with these people. There will always be you getting beat up or kicked out and a new ex-girlfriend, and then you will always come back to the stories of the ex-girlfriend and this and that because this is that life. Again, it's that life. If you leave, listen, if somebody leaves the life of being involved in drugs and they do it to get healthy, but then they come back to the same house where they were doing drugs, what do you expect is going to happen? They're going to get caught up in it again, and it's going to ruin their life again, right? Okay. So you got to understand this is what's going on. When you go back and you start staying with this guy again, I know he's your daughter's father, and I get that. And I get that you have those ties there, and you would love for nothing more for it to work out so that you can have that family unit. But I'm telling you, going back is like being back in that unhealthy situation, and you're experiencing exactly what life is going to be like again. And that's it.
It's not even a matter of being in love with him or anything like that. I don't. It's not. I don't love him anymore. It has nothing to do with that. It's strictly fear of what it's gonna, how I'm going to handle the co-parenting relationship. That's what my fear is.
How
Fighting. I
about
don't want to fight with him in
how
court.
about you just right? So how about you just focus first on just parenting relationship, right? Just being a parent.
Oh.
Let him work out what he wants to do for co-parenting.
So,
Right?
so say hypothetically speaking, I mean, I don't know if you've had experience with this with narcissists, but like if he wants 50-50 custody of our daughter, what, knowing what I know and feeling what I feel, I'm not okay with that. But is that something I can't control? I mean,
Unfortunately, it's
you know, like,
not. It's not. If he's able
okay,
to, I mean, unless you're able. Well, first of all, you guys have to go and
right.
the court has to make that happen. And
Decision,
if he's
yeah.
able to prove that he can sustain that, and the court finds
Mm-hmm.
it, and there's no evidence that he's going to be abusive, and you know what I mean. If there is, then you have nothing to
I
worry
think
about.
that's
The
what
courts aren't going to give him any time with the daughter if that's the case. But if they award him time, then yeah, eventually you're going to have to be okay with that 50-50 split.
I think what makes it's so hard because we know, like I know, and I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but I know the effects that he's had on me and things that I've seen. And, you know, it may not be things that I'll be able to prove to anybody else. It would come out in the long run, I'm absolutely sure, but it's not something I just feel like down because I wouldn't be able to protect her right. I feel like I can protect her more being here than if I'm not. And that's what makes it so hard.
Yeah, well, but no, because you're not protecting her. You have her there living in the situation that's not healthy, right?
Right. No, I
That's
get it. It's
that's
such
not
a catch
that's not
22.
protecting
I
her.
know.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. Yeah, I
Mhm.
just wanted to discuss that, and I did. I had similar, just the topic that you were on tonight. I had the similar, exact same thing with my mother believing everything, that whole thing. So just more signs of that classic narcissistic trait.
Yeah.
You
No, I
know.
get it.
So I know it's something that I got to get away from, and I'm trying. Oh, I'm trying.
It's hard.
Ugh,
It is
so
hard.
it it's it's I have 3 children. You know, I think I remember telling you that before. I have 2 children from a previous relationship, so it's not just me and her. You know, it's me and 3 children that I have to, you know, try to find housing for without much support. You know, and it's not easy. It's, you know, especially when, you know, you've become so financially dependent on, in, you know, the situation that I'm in now. You know, but I want nothing more. I want nothing more to be out of than to be out of it, because I, I just feel like it would be better than
There's a lot of
waking up to this,
there's a
coming
lot of
home to this,
options
and
for you. There's options for you out there to be able to take care of your daughters, okay? There's a lot of options for you that are available. Don't, because of your situation, sell yourself short, get involved with an abusive person, or think that you have to stay and endure this nastiness of abusive people because of that. You know what I mean? And in other words, don't find yourself in this place of I need this and I'm going to have to be okay with this. You're settling. You're settling. Don't do that. Know your value. You're still a strong, beautiful woman, and you have great daughters. And it's on you, and part of your responsibility as being a mother now, to find and identify that good male role model for your daughters
yeah.
and a good man for your life if that's what you want. If you want, you know what I mean, to have that kind of a
I don't even
relationship.
think I don't want to date anybody. Like, I just want to be alone.
I
It's
get it.
like, I don't know.
I get
At
it.
least
I
for a
get it.
while, I don't even
Sure.
have any. I have no desire to date.
Well, and
um,
coming out of
but
the situations that you're going into and coming out of, it makes sense as to why, right?
yeah,
Okay. So maybe it is
absolutely.
time to take a break and to reset, figure out what's going on. What is making you gravitate towards a certain type of individual?
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
which is causing you to get burned every time, right?
You brought up something last night. I think it was last night's live about the way that we were brought up, not having boundaries, not learning to ever say no, and it like that really, really clicked with me because that was exactly my upbringing. Was I could never say no. I was punished for everything, and now I'm the kind of mother that if my child doesn't want to eat, broccoli, I don't force them to, and I don't tell them, well, you're going to eat it for breakfast.
Right.
I'm not like that at all,
Good.
and I totally believe that if you allow children to build their boundaries when they're younger, it helps them
It
to
will
reinforce and
never
have
leave
healthy
them.
boundaries.
Yes, I am all for that.
Absolutely.
Help your
Yeah,
child,
that's
help guide their boundaries, but do not take
yeah,
their ability to set boundaries away. That's what happened to a lot of
right.
us empaths, and that's why
Yeah,
we came out. That's why we do the things we do, and we struggle to say no and stop. Is because
mm,
we weren't given the opportunity to assert our boundaries. Instead, we were told that it's wrong, and so we're learning now how to do it. And so that's a good
it,
thing. So I commend you for that. That's excellent. You know that you're
I
teaching your daughter
appreciate
to
you bring
be independent.
I appreciate you bringing it up because it's like it never hit me like that, and I was like, that makes so much sense. So that's great. That was great. That was a great piece of advice and just information. So
Right on.
thing and what you do is amazing, and
Thank you.
I've been watching you for a long time now, so I appreciate it. And this group is absolutely awesome. The Facebook group, all of it, it's been really, really a great support.
Right
So
on. Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Thank you. All right. Thank you for taking my call.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.
All right, guys. So I want to thank you guys for your telephone calls, and we might have time for one more quick telephone call. But I would like to let you know that if you would like to be a supporter of the Royal We Live, you're welcome to donate to this channel. You can donate through the PayPal link on the Royal We homepage. You simply go to the Royal We homepage, and you'll find the PayPal link there. And we have a call from South Carolina. If you'd hold on one moment, please. And you can donate. You can donate one time. You can donate on a monthly basis if you would like. And you can also check out merchandise. We do have merchandise that is available. You can find the merchandise link in the description box below this video. And that's an excellent way to be a supporter of the Royal We in a lot of different ways, and just to wear it. And so please check out that description, or that link in the description box below. Also, guys, the Royal We course is available for those of you who are interested in taking the Royal We course. It's also in the description box below, and you can get to know the heart of the Royal We and where we're coming from as far as helping you to heal. And not only that, but it is modular, and I'm about to come out with the second part of that course, which is going to be included, which is going to be a strategic no contact plan. And it's going to be a lot of stuff in there to help you to go and maintain your no contact so you can heal and become the person that you're called to become. All right, so let's go ahead and take this last call. You're live on the Royal We, South Carolina.
Yeah. Hi, Kevin.
Hi there. How are you?
Well, I'm okay. I have a kind of like a story to tell you what I've been going through for the last couple of years, and I'll try to go through that real fast.
Okay.
I've been married for 15 years.
Uh-huh.
And what I've gone through, right after I got married, he had an affair, and she had his child. That went away. She never come after him for child support. They grew up together. They were friends. She went away, speeded up to last year. He had another affair with a girl he grew up with.
Okay.
I think he's bipolar, narcissist, and a little bit of psychopath in a way. He last year, the girl he was seeing and that he grew up with, had an affair with. She also was having multiple affairs. Her husband killed her. She was a paramedic, and the police came to my house because they thought her husband had a hit list out. So I've had all that going on, which I'm not used to anything like that, and it was horrifying and traumatic. Speed it up to this year, he's having another affair with a married woman, and he used to work with her husband.
Okay.
Her husband confronted her and told me about the affair, and he left me in January.
Okay.
And to live in a shed there. And I'm in a situation now where he says he's not ever coming back. I don't want to go through that abuse again. The yelling, the screaming, the put down, the affairs.
Right.
And to get to, going to have to file for divorce, obviously.
Right.
But I'm trying to look after myself because I haven't worked during the whole marriage because of my health problems. And he's still coming back here doing little things, little favors and things like that, even though he says he's never coming back. He did hate me, hate the place, hate everything. And now he's just easing to do little favors here and there.
Okay.
And I'm in a situation now where I need to get some evidence so it'll go in my favor to divorce him. I don't really know how to handle dealing with or cutting it off from him. I don't know what the way to do it. I don't know how to do it. Being that I'm in a situation where I hadn't filed for divorce yet, but that's where we're headed. And he keeps coming back. We have grandchildren. They're not his blood. They're from a prior marriage. My children are.
Right.
But the grandchildren know him and are close to him. They're 6 and 4. And it's just a mess for me. And I'm here by myself in the home. Haven't worked. He's still paying the bills. Comes back and eases in, but he don't want to have anything to do with anybody. So.
Well, I mean, it's see, these situations are hard because there you are. You're in this place where you found this comfort because he's paying the bills, right? Yet you don't want anything to do with him, but he's still paying the bills, and you have no option. You have no choice. You have nowhere else to go. This is a problem, okay? And so really there's not a whole lot I could offer as far as you going no contact because, I mean, since he's paying the bills of where you're at, it's just as much his as it is yours, right? And so him leaving is probably a good thing, but he doesn't have to. My suggestion is if that's the way it's going to be, and you have your own reasons for divorce, you have your reasons, and because I that's not something that I would promote, but if that's where you're leaning towards, then I would say then you're going to have to be the one to make that initiative. Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering with the way he is, with the way where it led up to the way it is now, with the last couple of years of arguing, not coming home when he is home. Put me down all the time. He was, and just screaming. It got into just a yelling, scream. I couldn't even say anything at all.
And you're never going to. You're never going to. So I think the best suggestion that I could give you is to first just set boundaries. All right. If you're not ready to go through and with divorce or anything like that, you don't have to do that. Okay. But set boundaries. You can absolutely set boundaries before any of that stuff. So what do boundaries look like? Boundaries look like if he wants to come home and yell, you don't. You turn around, walk away, walk out, leave. That's boundaries.
Okay.
Right? So it starts with you. It starts with you standing up for yourself by saying no more. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm done. And you don't listen. You walk away. It starts with you not giving to him what he says. You know what I mean? It's just personal boundaries. Start there.
Yeah, it's just been hard to have to deal with him because I have to, because I'm in the situation I am. Versus I don't want to, but I have to, and I don't know how he's going to react to anything that I do.
You have to, but you don't, right? You don't have to. See, there's all this talk of where I have to. And again, this is why I did the show I did last night about the false narratives, right? The whole I have to, that's a false narrative. You don't have to do anything, okay? You don't have to be there. You don't have to talk to him. You don't have to even be in the house if you really don't want to. There are options and there are ways for you to get out. Okay. But that's a personal decision and it's up to you. Or we can sit there and say, well, I have to be here. I have to do this. I have to listen to him. I have to fight with him. No. Trust me, I know I speak from experience because, there was a time where I thought I had to get along with certain people because they're family. I had to let them say whatever they wanted to say to me until I finally said, no, I don't have to do anything. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out. I don't owe those people anything. I'm gone. Moved 5 states away. Took a huge risk. It's amazing. And that wasn't the only reason, but there's economic reasons and job and stuff like that. But you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay at a job where you're being mistreated. You don't have to. A lot of times people say, well, I have to stay here. No, you don't. I have to be around these people. I have to talk to her because she's my mom. I have to because it's my dad. I have to because it's my brother. You don't have to do anything. We need to erase this vocabulary of we have to. It's not biblical. It's not in the scriptures. We got to get rid and dump this I have to stuff. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. And I'm not trying to come down on you. It's just there's a lot of people who feel that way. I have to. It's nonsense. And it keeps us stuck. It's a false narrative. And I challenge you to start to figure out of where you develop this. I have to do this. I have to go along with this. Where you develop this in life. I challenge you to start to look at that. Where you develop this. And we'll wrap this phone call up. But think about this over the next few days.
Yeah.
Think about when in your life
well.
you started to develop this. Why I have to be okay with this. This is the way it is. I have to be okay with it. Because if you can discover, then you can start to attack that. And you can stand up against that. You can say, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to. There is no I have to's here when it comes to people who are abusive. Okay?
Right. I just didn't know how to act. I'm at a point now where I just don't even know how to be. I don't know how to respond, react. Am I supposed to be nice? Am I supposed to be mad because this is going on in my life with affairs and
that's a sign. That's a sign that you're in a toxic relationship when you don't even know how to act anymore because you've been so beaten down. You can't be loving because that doesn't work. You can't be mad and angry because that doesn't work. The reality is narcissistically abusive people, narcissistic abuse is being involved with people you have no business being with, doing things you have no business doing, going places you have no business going. You gave us this whole backlog story of this guy. Nothing about it sounded good. Doesn't sound like a good situation from day one, right? And
no, it's been awful.
It sounds like it. And so this is why, you've got to be able to find the strength to be able to do what you have to do for your health and for your safety.
Yeah, that's my next move. I just I haven't, like I said, I haven't worked in the whole marriage. I've been, I'm unhealthy with, diabetes and things like that, which I hadn't been able to work. And so now we're moving into the next phase of the divorce with who's going to get the house, am I going to get alimony, how he's going to react, and just all kinds of things like that I'm going to have to deal with. And
it's rough. It is rough. It is rough.
I don't know how he's going to react to all that. That's a worry in itself. But I want to run that by because it's been really rough on me for the last few years. Well, actually, the whole marriage, it starts out where he's just this wonderful, charismatic, charming, wonderful, funny guy, and he's brilliant. He's real smart and knows a lot of people, and we just, something's off during the marriage. He's not really just can't be funny all the time. You can't be this way all the time. But anyway, then it turned into the affairs and this, that, and the other, and forgiveness, and then just keeps rolling into how it is now. So
right. Well, listen, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for calling. It is hard, and I do understand, where you're coming from as far as the frustration, right, and the confusion of it all. But I do challenge you throughout this week to relook at why you feel you have to do things a certain way, what your fears are of moving forward. You know what you need to do, but start to face those fears. A lot of times us, and I'm talking to the whole community here, a lot of times people think that that to be strong and to be courageous means to be able to stand up to the narcissist and to be able to talk them down. No, no, no. Sometimes the strongest and the most courageous decision is just doing what you need to do for yourself. That's what's being strong. That is where
Yeah.
strength is, right? So, in fact,
Yeah.
the serenity prayer goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things that I can. And then it goes on to say, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, in your
Right.
situation, there are things that you cannot change. What can't you change? Well, you can't change who that man is. You can't
No.
change that, right? So you need the serenity
No.
to accept that. You can't change that. But the courage to change the things that you can. What can you change? You can change your position. You can change where you live. You can change what your boundaries are. And these things take courage.
They do.
I wish
They do.
and I hope Tanya is still here listening to this too. It takes courage to make these decisions, to be able to help find
I
safety and
agree.
security for yourself and for your children. That's what courage is.
Yeah.
And that's what God calls
It
you
is.
to do, is to be courageous in that way. Not to endure
Yeah.
and fight with the narcissist, but to be courageous and to step out in faith. All right?
Right. And that's where
That's
I've been kind of, beat down, and now I'm trying to find the courage to do what I'm supposed to do for myself,
right.
and to make my way and get out of this. So
Right
I
on.
wanted to share that.
Well, thank you.
It's a
Thank you for
well, thank you.
thank you so much for calling, and like I know you have call us back and let us know what happens later on, okay?
I will, and thank you for everything.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Bye. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there, and I appreciate all the telephone calls tonight. A lot of issues going on with people, and I understand this completely with not knowing how to move forward and get out of these situations. And because it does take courage, and we get even confused about the courage. What does courage look like? Do I stay here and fight and make the narcissist see it my way? That's not courage. That's trying not to accept the reality of who and what you're dealing with, right? And we need to accept the reality. They're not going to change. They're unloving, uncaring individuals. They don't care about you. They've already established that. They're going to treat you how they're going to treat you. That cannot change. So the courage now comes in changing what you can change, which is yourself. You can change your position in the relationship, where you go, what you do, and your involvement with them. You can also change your boundaries to not include people like that in your life anymore, right? So I want to thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Thank you for watching and staying with me live for this past hour. We're going to be back tomorrow night, 10 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And I do want to start on time tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be the last night. We'll take a break for the weekend and be back on Monday. So thank you guys so much. And thank you to all the moderators. Have a great night, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow night right here on The Royal We. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.